welcome back to another episode of the What Everybody podcast. Episode 119 of the WBP, the drummer episode, is ready to go. Today's episode includes Ringo Starr, Zach Starkey, Peter Criss, and the number 2. So sit back, relax, have a couple of drinks, and enjoy the show. So with no further ado, Ryan and Johnny.
Okay. Cheers, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back to another episode of the What Everybody podcast, episode 119.
Cheers.
We're getting ready to get close to a number 2. 2's my favorite number, if you didn't know this. And I'm just going to let you all know that 2 is my favorite number. And the episode after the one after this one's 120. So that's the relevance of me saying that too. I also want to use the word to, T-O or T-O-O, and say, I did too tell you to do therapy. And I am here today to tell you too not to do therapy because you come out of sessions like today and you just want to say, why the heck did I do that in the first place?
So I have two questions. One, why is 2 your favorite number?
Always has been. And it means a lot. And 222 always pops up. I had
time of day? Like you wake up.
I had an ex-girlfriend who told me, like, 222. And she's like, now that I told you that, you'll see it all the time. And no lie, she told me that like in 2015. And ever since
what if
then,
she told it to you in 2022?
That would have been crazy. She didn't though. And yeah. But it does equate. If you go 2015, that would be a total number of 6, a 2 and a 6, or 28, all divisions of 2. So I mean,
it's my own fault. It's my own fault, baby. It's my own fault.
Your own fault. You brought the Rain Man out for a second.
I zoned out. And as I was adding up 1 and 5, I realized, I made a mistake. I made a mistake.
What was the mistake?
Asking you why 2 was your favorite number.
Oh yeah, I love numbers.
Yeah.
And if you Google 222 and the relevance of what it means in the universe, it's actually a really cool thing.
I'll do that.
And about the therapy, was that your question or what? Or
I was going to go there with the second one because it's more topical, and I did not expect the number 2 to have quite an impact of a story.
Well, yeah, of course, everything I say has an impact on a story. I am, a guy who likes to tell stories, whether they're good stories, bad stories, don't really matter. I'm just what you'd call perhaps a storyteller.
Storyteller.
Like I could tell.
Were you going somewhere with that, or were you just? We're just.
Well, no, but I could probably come up with a great story about that Les Paul behind your shoulder about how.
Les Paul?
Yeah.
That's
when
my
you
favorite
played,
one.
Right,
It's my favorite
and it comes from 2 past lifetimes ago, where your name was Colonial George, and Colonial George used to play in a blues rock band because this was so long ago that blues went away and came back again.
Was it like Chitlin Circuit area?
Yeah, like you're going back. We're talking like 1600s blues. Like we're talking
that's
real
before
shit.
The Chitlin Circuit was like the 1940s.
Yeah, but see, they had circuits back then. The electricity existed. They just messed that up in the 1800s and took us back to the dark days, kind of like Donald Trump is. That's a whole different story.
Dark days.
Take
us back to the dark days.
Dude, we haven't talked about the poison behind the music in a long time.
We don't need to.
It was the House of Horrors. It turned into the House of Horrors. Dark days. Dark days.
How does C.C. DeVille look better? I mean, I know the answer to this. He looks better now than he did in his 20s. The guy's
because he's sober now.
Yeah. Anywho, we have to issue an apology.
We do?
Not necessarily an apology. It just occurred
to somebody.
We did it. We did a little name call and the internet called us. No. So Zach Starkey, we talked about him getting kicked out of the Who, and like a couple days later, he was back in.
That's amazing. Well, okay, let's talk about that. We don't owe an apology. They're the ones who released that shit. How did he get back?
That's what I corrected. It wasn't an apology. It was just a correction to a story that, hey, you know what? We're essentially journalists. We were telling a current event, and on the day that we told the story, that was the fact.
So let's hear the facts of getting him back in. I want to hear about that.
The fact is probably they realized they fired Zach Starkey. And they said, oops.
No, Roger probably just was off his meds for the day.
See, he made some kind of comment about like, oh man, like life coming at him lately. And hey, I love that. All love. But like, he kind of came across like he was sort of a little bit like out of sorts, you know.
Well,
and perhaps
I mean,
that was.
Let's call it what it is, dude. He's 78. Okay, Alzheimer's.
I think
okay, Alzheimer's and dementia. They still hit rock stars, especially if they're still going like the Who. I'm amazed the guy can still remember the words of the songs if he's not reading them all. Okay, so with that being said,
well, you don't need to go dark with it. It's just essentially they said that they had a miscommunication, and they're all good now, and he's back in the band.
Yeah, because Zach was probably like, Keith Moon played all over the place, dude. What are you talking about? Like, seriously. To tell the drummer of the Who that he's overplaying is the biggest, like, what are you talking about, dude? That was Keith Moon's shtick. The guy never played straight. Yeah. Jesus, goodness gracious. Don't get me started. Well, I'm glad Zach Starkey's back in the band because he's the only, at this point in time, he's probably the best musician in that band.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Also, dude, we got.
What do you think 7-Eleven is going to give us a coffee endorsement considering for 119 episodes?
7-Eleven. I'm just waiting for the cup, baby.
119 episodes.
I'm just waiting for the cup,
I've had
baby.
This cup. The hell?
What if I was like, cheers to chocolate milk, Johnny, you?
Oh, chocolate milk. Chocolate milk's good. That's good.
Coffee.
If I drank milk,
coffee.
Is that coffee? I was saying because if I drank chocolate milk, I'd shit my pants.
Well, hey, that's you. You know what I do? So I'm still a little bit coffee sensitive. We'll get back to. I want to talk about Ringo. Holy crap, Ringo.
Why? What happened? What about the bass player of Weezer's wife? What about that? Hear about that?
This is all foreshadowing of what is making in the makes of a good episode. Yeah, I'm still a little bit caffeine sensitive, so I'll fill it about there with coffee and then the rest with milk, and it's delightful. It's delightful.
Nice.
Now Ringo is 84 years old. I gotta get on that Beatles vitamin drip, dude. He looks fantastic. He looks 20 years younger than he actually is.
All right, but let me ask you something.
I'm going to pull up a picture.
What happens when you see him in person? Because, for example...
Yeah. I don't care.
I saw Ian Pace in person. Like
who's that? Is that Deep
the
Purple?
drummer of Deep Purple. Okay. And I was watching it from the side of the stage. So when he
they don't got that Beatles vitamin drip money. They don't got that Rolling Stones vitamin drip money.
When he was walking off the stage, it was like you could tell the dude was 78 years old. There's no question.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, that was it. That was it.
That was it.
Okay. Well, Ringo is not Ian Pace, and look at this fella.
84, you say. He was the oldest member of the Beatles?
I believe so.
And he's still alive.
He's not just alive. He's like thriving, man. Like, okay, he colors his hair. Good on you. Great. He's youthful.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened. Dude, listen.
Hang on.
Think about the guy's life.
How's he getting around on stage? I'm not going to turn the audio on because our podcast will get flagged or whatever.
He walks just fine, though.
Yeah, he's great. He's thin.
Yeah.
He's Sprite.
They keep this stuff under wraps. Has him or Paul McCartney ever had any like cancer or anything like that where they they just healed it? Because like a lot of people like that, you never hear that they ever had anything. But how does that guy make it to 84 years old and have no issues?
Beatles money vitamin drip, dude. Best doctors on the planet. They can afford a nutritionist. You know
how long do you think Paul and Ringo go?
Paul. I don't know why I almost had to confirm with that you were talking about Paul McCartney. That's on me. That's on me. That's 100%. On me. I made a mistake.
We're talking about the Beatles, dude. There's only two living ones left, Paul and Ringo.
I'm slipping. Yeah. I'm half beyond his age.
Yeah.
Anyway. How long? Man, I'm just blessed to be in a world with the Beatles and the Stones still around and still doing it.
All right, dude, you totally didn't answer the question. How long?
That's not your everyday pop, dude.
What?
That's not your everyday pop. That's not your everyday grandpap.
I know. Are you going to answer the question?
What was your question?
How long do you think they're going to live for?
Another 20 years minimum. What if we live in a world where two of the Beatles are over 100 years old and they're still kind of chilling? Still going to Coachella,
Did Paul play Coachella this year?
I don't think so, but he always shows up at shows. He's always going
Ringo
to Taylor Swift Eras tour or whatever. You see Paul. I'm gonna say Paul Stanley, McCartney showing up.
They both still tour. Ringo tours nonstop. He's got the Ringo Starr All-Star Band.
Yeah, with Joe Walsh, right?
And Colin Hay from Men at Work, and Greg Bissonette from David Lee Roth Band. All sorts of people.
That's an all-star band.
Yeah, no,
rightfully named.
But they do all sorts of stuff. You know, like not only they play like Ringo songs, Beatles songs, but like they would play Men at Work songs, and Colin Hay would sing, and Ringo would play drums and things like that.
Cool.
Like,
do they do any like James Gang stuff?
I don't know.
That'd be
I don't know what their repertoire is. However, I think it's really cool that he still goes and he plays. Like he's on tour nonstop, and that's why he looks youthful. And that goes back to like the whole thing about back to therapy,
lifetime of financial freedom.
Therapy is rough today. I'm not going to talk why it was rough, but I'll say in therapy, I've realized, I went back to my high school reunion, and I'm not saying that I particularly am like this great looking guy or anything like that, but I definitely.
Oh, you're a stunner.
Thanks, pal.
You're a tall drink of water.
I definitely find it hard to believe that I grew up with the same people because it's just a different lifestyle. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. And these are all things that most people have, and I think it ages you. So when you look at a guy like Ringo and you look at his life since he was like 18 years old,
he is a kid.
Since he was 18 years old, he's been in the Beatles. He's never had to grow up. He just looks an age on the outside. On the inside, he probably still feels like the same dude who fucking played in the Beatles.
Paul McCartney's the same. Paul McCartney's like they have
Paul McCartney. I ever tell you my Paul McCartney story?
They have youthful faces.
Have I ever told you my Paul McCartney story?
Yeah, he came in when you were working at the restaurant and he called you by your name.
Well, he stopped me when I was like out the door and thanked me by name. And I was just like, Paul McCartney, doesn't he do? I was like standing there with my hand on his shoulder, like pointing out the tables. I'm just like, I got my hand on Paul McCartney's shoulder.
I heard him in it. I just think he's probably the raddest human being on planet Earth.
He is. He's got nothing to prove. It's the same reason Dave Grohl's super cool. They have nothing to prove.
Yeah, but I heard him in an interview and he was talking about like going out to dinner with a group of people or something like that. And the question was like, you still like do that stuff? You still like you don't want to just like, don't people come up and try to talk to you? And like, don't you want to be just like kind of left alone and stuff? And he without missing a beat, he goes, you have to remain a citizen of the world. And it's just like, good answer. Yeah. Anyways,
but think about it for a second. Who would want to live in a world where you couldn't leave the house and you couldn't go out to dinner? Because like, what's the point in getting all that money and being that rich and then not being able to spend it unless you're sitting in your effing house?
Tell you what, I'd take at least a solid day a month and just sit at home and get that vitamin drip.
Well, yeah, and then
I'd spend all the nutrients,
and then I would spend every other day of the month going out for a filet mignon dinner.
It's partying.
Dan effing shirts. No, not partying.
I don't mean partying. I mean just like enjoying.
Partying.
Enjoying life is partying, dude.
The reason those two are still living is probably because they're not partying.
You know what I meant? Enjoying things.
No, I didn't know what you meant.
You're not going to let it slide, are you? You're not going to let it slide.
No,
I'm partying to me means.
You say partying, I'm thinking lines of cocaine off a stripper's ass. You know what I'm saying?
No. I bet you those dudes. I sometimes wonder.
I bet you those dudes still snort lines of coke off a stripper's ass.
No, you hear about like pre-social media, like social media has ruined bands, it's ruined Mystique, it's ruined all that stuff. Like you hear about Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and the Stones and their partying days of the 60s and 70s and whatever 80s, and it's like
they would have been ruined today.
I don't doubt that some of those stories happened, but it was not a daily occurrence. No way was that a daily occurrence. Those party band guys, they just like the Stones, they probably did acid when they went and did what
I do believe that the Stones and Aerosmith and all those bands were shooting heroin every day and doing what they did. I don't think it was an on and off thing. I think that that Zeppelin, when they were in LA, I think they did take over the whole floor of the did you know that Jimmy Page had a 13-year-old girlfriend for like 2 years?
He was notorious for that. He was notorious for.
I just learned this the other day. I guess she wouldn't be 13 by the end of the 2 years anymore, but like, and it was
she
okay.
just stayed there.
Yeah,
he used his black magic to make her stay there.
No, like I was reading about his girlfriend. I guess he met her at the whiskey one night when they were in LA. That was it. For 2 years, he had like a fucking 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old girlfriend.
It's wild.
Wild.
No,
Wild.
but
So
you think of those. I'll close my point, and then you can talk. You could talk the rest of the episode if you want. All I'm saying is that with that stuff, I agree with you. But they were in their 20s. You know what I mean? It's
they
like
were younger, I think.
And those stories have stayed with them for so long that like they don't have to like. I don't know. I don't know. I'm stuttering, and I'm full of shit.
Can I just ask you what the hell your point is?
I don't think the party scene was as crazy as some of those reputations lead you to believe.
So you're saying it's all publicity?
I'm not saying it's all publicity. I'm saying that those stories did them well, quote, well, reputationally over the years. It's like do something one time and it sticks with you forever, you know?
I do believe that some is legend and some is publicity. I disagree with you. I think that what we heard about Led Zeppelin happened. I believe that we never really heard anything crazy about the Beatles, really. Aerosmith, I believe, happened.
What's the phrase? Burn bright, fade quick, or something? How's that go?
Yeah, and that's what happened with both Zeppelin and Aerosmith. Zeppelin just never came back, and Aerosmith decided to get sober and come back.
Well, they kind of went on a little bit of a cycle.
Yeah. God, speaking of Zeppelin, how pissed off is John Paul Jones when they did that reunion in the 90s without him? You know what I mean?
Did.
They did the Page Plant tour and played all Zeppelin songs without John Paul Jones, and I think they accepted some kind of award. I think it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he made some kind of like sly remark because it was like,
I wonder why
they got accepted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like while that tour was happening. Or something crazy.
Yeah, that's rough. I wonder, like,
that might be bro science, by the way. That last part about when the tour was happening, but it was in the same time. Like he was pissed, as he should have been.
They never reunited with Jason Bonham, and it's like they absolutely could have. They did in 07. 07, they did one show though, or one weekend, or maybe the O2 Arena in London, and it was like a one-time thing, and it sounded awesome. And they never like. It makes you wonder what the real reason is.
I really think
vocal range.
No, I really think Robert Plant is over Led Zeppelin.
If
you just hear it, like, I mean, they did it. Like, what else do they got to do? You know, it's like he's got the money. He doesn't need to go out on tour for the money.
Almost anything you do from that point on just sort of taints it.
Well, it's kind of just sort of like I'd rather like move past that creativity. You know, it's like I don't want to keep playing. Looking at the numbers, there it is.
No, I'm making sure my hat's put on. I'm making sure my hat's good, buddy. I'm not feeling them. Words are hard. I'm not feeling the look today.
Your brain.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you have that. Sometimes you look in the mirror and you wish it was you look in the mirror and you wish it was different, but that's okay. It's fine. Back to Led Zeppelin.
I forget what I was saying.
You were saying that Robert Plant is over Led Zeppelin and he wants to continue.
Yeah, I think it's like he's got enough money.
Yeah,
it's sort of like how many times does he want to play Black Dog? It's sort of like I can write new music with that Allison, whoever he was working with, and this person.
It's almost like he wants
person.
a different vibe because that music does not sound like rock and roll.
Listen, man. I mean, think about this. When you were in Cherry Monroe, how old were you? Like early 20s, right? Would you write the same song? Would you write the same songs now?
Yeah, no, man. I'll tell you what. I listened to that stuff, and it's like, ooh, I had a different perception of what I was doing at that time.
You know what's crazy? And I did bring this up to my therapist today. I go back and I listen to the Hudells, and it stood the test of time. We were way ahead of our time. It almost sounds easier to listen to now than it did then.
Have you ever brought up Cherry Monroe to your therapist or your good buddy Ryan?
I've brought up Ryan. I've never brought up Cherry Monroe.
Nice. I made it to the sesh.
Yeah,
nice.
You made it to the sesh. Probably when I was mad at you about something.
I don't know why you get mad at me. I don't do anything to make you mad at me. I might be a little uptight from time to time.
Have you heard what happened to the bass player of Weezer's wife?
Yeah. She got arrested.
She got shot by the police in her own backyard.
She was the one that was shot, huh?
She got shot by the police in her own backyard.
Okay, I will let you tell the story. This was a while ago. This was like a month ago.
No, this was like 5 days ago. No, this was on the 8th of April. This happened April 8th.
Yeah,
April 8th. Yeah. I just heard about it yesterday. I stumbled upon it on YouTube.
Continue.
There was a guy that the police were after, like 2 dudes who were like involved in some kind of hit and run accident or something. And they got out of their car in Eagle Rock and started running through the neighborhood. At one point, they ran through the bass player of Weezer's backyard. His wife saw it, so she went outside with her own gun in her backyard. So she's in her... I don't know that. I mean, it's horror movie shit. Like, what are you leaving your house for? Why not call 911 at that point? Oh. So she goes out in her own yard with a gun, looking to see what the hell is going on. Yeah. Meanwhile, the cops are looking for these guys, roll up on her backyard and on the other side of the fence, and they're like, lady, put the gun down. Lady, put the gun down. But she doesn't know that they're the cops. And you only know that because of the 911 call. After she got shot, she went back into the house, and their nanny called 911, and she's like, there were these guys over the fence. They were telling her to put the gun down, but she didn't put the gun down because she thought that she didn't know who they were, and
Please
they shot her.
She's okay.
They're trying to arrest her. They arrested her, and they're trying to... They don't even know if they're gonna, they don't know if they're going to charge her with a crime, but you can't charge her with that. It's
you can't
she's like,
I
couldn't even tell you guys were cops.
At worst, she was stupid.
Yeah, because in the cops' defense, dude, I saw the body cam footage.
Well, yeah, someone holding a gun and you're chasing somebody.
Well, listen, right, and they gave her ample time.
Yeah.
To drop the weapon.
Yeah.
They said multiple times, "We are the police. Drop the gun." And she's like, "What? What?"
What time of day was this?
During the day.
During the day. Okay.
But in fairness, in her defense, there was a really high wooden fence. It wasn't like a chain link fence that she could see through. She could only see their heads. So, in fairness, she might have
So how did they shoot her?
They shot her over the fence.
Over the fence?
Yeah. Like from the other side of her fence. They were standing there and their head was there, and they like shot like that over the fence.
Oh, it's all bad, huh? It's all bad.
They shot her in the arm and then arrested her and then put her in handcuffs.
I understand that a little bit. I mean, like, for sure, put your gun down. But it's just all bad. That's all bad.
But listen, think about this for a second. Put your gun down, but what if they're just saying they're cops and they're not cops?
Right. You're on your property.
Right. She's on her property with a gun.
Yeah.
You're coming into my fucking property with your guns. I could legally shoot your ass.
At worst,
you know what? I gotta be honest. I think she did shoot.
Oh.
And I think that's why she got shot.
Oh, well.
I think she did shoot.
I'm not sure. I love making my opinion based on half truths and half facts.
Well, even so, though.
All she was doing was sipping wine in the pool.
You know what? Somebody should have fucking put their badge over the goddamn fucking fence and be like, "Look, we're the cops."
Well, if they're in hot pursuit of a criminal on foot, you know, I mean, they can't be perfect.
What was really annoying to me is that the guy, like, I was watching this like court TV like thing. I don't know what it's like, Law and something. I find all this shit on YouTube.
Law and Order.
And no, it wasn't Law and Order. That's a television
NCIS.
Show. Harris, you're annoying me with these comments of yours. Shut
Bloods.
Naked and famous. Naked and afraid. So the guy that the specialist they had on who runs this cop podcast or something, he was like, "We're waiting for the toxicology report to come back and see what she was on."
Doesn't matter.
No, but listen, this is the annoying thing. She's married to the bass player of Weezer, who is a known sober guy, completely sober guy, for many, many years. I doubt that he's married to a woman who's on
junkie
drugs.
Doubt
it. Highly doubt it. She's like a documentarian or something. She does something like she's like a writer. She does something. She's in the industry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad she's okay.
100% that she was on drugs, and I guarantee you 100% that toxicology report comes back with nothing in her system.
That'd be so great.
She went to court for the first time yesterday, and they're waiting for the toxicology report to come back to figure out if they're going to be pressing charges or whatever. That toxicology report's going to come back, or I'm not sure if that's why they didn't go forward with. They haven't decided whether they're pressing charges, and I'm assuming they're waiting to see the toxicology report. And when it comes back that she's not on drugs, I bet you that they do not press charges on her.
I don't even know this woman. I'm so happy she's okay.
Oh, dude, it's so messed up, man. Like, I'd be like, she's in her yard with the gun.
It's a tough... Here's my problem with it. It's a police, LAPD particularly, tough job.
Oh, dude, and the highway patrol was in on this. And the highway patrol was in on this, too, because they started the pursuit.
Impossible to be perfect. But whenever something like that happens, why don't they just say, like, look, this was a tough situation. We were wrong. That happened.
If she fired a shot,
yeah,
I understand why they shoot back. But here's where I think they mess up. Like, if she truly didn't know and get the picture that you were the police, then somewhere along the line in the training of police, they've messed up that they cannot identify themselves enough to somebody who's in their own yard, doesn't feel comfortable enough to believe that they're the police.
Yeah.
She was in her own yard, for Christ's sakes. Why does she need to put the gun down? I'm in my own yard. Chase them elsewhere. They're not here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
damn,
tough.
Don't make a spectacle. They should have been, the cops should have been like, hey, listen, we're chasing somebody. I know you got your gun. We're not going to shoot you. Don't shoot us. Have you seen anybody run through your yard? Yeah, that's why I got my gun out.
That's why I got my gun out, buddy. He went that
jerk
way.
Off. Like, what an asshole. I have a real problem with police. Not the good ones. I feel bad that I say this stuff about police because I know there's good police out there. But I see so many bad videos of police. It's just so convenient that their body cam falls off at all the right goddamn moments.
In fairness,
man.
you seek it out.
Oh yeah, and my algorithm gives it to me.
Your
too.
algorithm is giving you what you're looking for.
Damn straight it is.
How come there's no good cops in my algorithm? Because you scroll past the good ones.
No, dude, I like when cops get, like, you know what ones I like to watch? I like when cops bust the people trying to carry 18 pounds of fentanyl across the country. It's always so funny how these assholes get busted too. They can't keep their cool. If they just kept their cool, they wouldn't get busted.
I'll bite. Give me an example.
Okay,
like a funny one. Give me a funny one.
Okay, actually, I just watched one yesterday. That's fucking hilarious. So they pull over like, okay, all right, if you're going to be fucking, let me start off by saying this. If you're going to be smuggling drugs across the country, and I think what they had on them was like 12 pounds of, they had like 12 pounds of fentanyl, or no, like 1,200 fentanyl pills, 23 pounds of meth, and like 6 pounds of heroin. Okay. Would you rent a bright red Mustang? Let's start there. Let's start there. Okay.
With California plates.
So they get pulled over for a stupid violation, right? Probably tallying. They don't say what the violation is. They didn't say what the violation. Usually they say what the violation is, and usually this is what the cops always get them on. They're always tallying the car in front of them too closely. It's a bullshit pullover, but it's something to get away with, right?
Yeah, what's that even about?
You know, you're tallying too close to the car in front of you that could cause an accident. Just give me your license and registration. If you don't have any drugs in the car or any other kind of paraphernalia, we'll let you go on your way. And then there's always a reason they find to have their dog go around. Always a reason. And then they always say their dog fucking sniffs and finds something. It's like, really? I don't buy that all the time either. But
you don't believe in drug sniffing dogs?
I do, but sometimes it doesn't look like they're alerting and they say that they are. You know, it's a sort of like you can hide shit in cars and a drug dog's not going to find them. They fucking put this stuff in stuff with scent detractors and stuff. These drug smugglers are not stupid, dude. But either are the cops.
Well, you did say they rented a red Mustang.
Well, yeah, they're not the actual drug smugglers. They're the drug mule.
Oh, yeah, right. They're the ones
they're the idiot.
Are tasked with the potential of getting caught. Right.
For whatever it is it costs. So they pull this red car over for a violation. They say their stories don't match up, which is another thing. If you're going to be getting pulled over at that moment of time, if you're a smart criminal, you say to your other smart criminal friend,
you're scripted.
You say, hey, listen, this is our story. Stick with it. No matter what, stick with the fucking story. Nope. They tell two different stories. So that gives them probable cause to bring the drug dog around. Of course, the drug dog alerts. They go through the car. The girl says, there's a guy and a girl, and the girl says that she's got a little weed in her purse. That's why the drug dog's going off. So they go through they go through the girl's purse. In the purse, they find fentanyl. By the time they find the fentanyl, they turn around and these two jackasses went running. They're in the middle of the desert, dude. There's nowhere to run to. They just went running into the desert. Well, they tased the girl, and in the end,
why'd they tase the girl? Was she running?
Well, because they were able to catch up to her, so they tased her.
She ran too.
Yeah, and she's like, "He told me to run. He told me to run." And they tase her. And
is anything funnier than watching somebody's reaction when they get tased?
Actually, I think it's the cruelest thing ever. I really do. I don't think it should be legal.
It's not. It wasn't What's the? I forgot the
unjustified.
words.
Unjustified. It was justified. Yeah. If I was the cops, just like the guy, they ended up catching the guy down the road because there's nowhere to run to. Let the bitch run. We'll catch her down the road. There's nowhere to run to. And in the meantime, they don't even have these idiots. They're really stupid. Not only do they have the red Mustang, they don't even hide the drugs. They have it in a bag in the back seat that's just like filled with like tons of fentanyl, meth, and heroin. It's like they're going away for the rest of their lives. Their lives is over.
Dude,
I watched a lot of those videos.
I'm not looking to get into the drug smuggling business, but I'd have like a fake gas tank or some shit like that, and it would be.
I mean, they know all that shit though, man. They know all of it. You got to come up with some really unique ways to smuggle drugs these days. You know the best way to smuggle drugs is don't get pulled over.
What did they do in Breaking Bad? They melted the meth down somehow, and they made like statues.
Oh,
and
right.
then they'd ship the statues, and then the statues would be like de-engineered's the wrong word, but broken down and then like re-chemicaled into the drug.
There's something about, I don't know what this says about me. There's something about watching people get caught and knowing that you're watching somebody who is going to go to prison for the rest of their life, and this is their last moments of freedom. Something about that is so intriguing to me because it's like, wow, because that's a huge fear of mine. Ever getting arrested? Like I never talk about suicide. I would never kill myself. Except for one time.
You can go into prison?
If I'm going to prison, I'm killing myself beforehand. Call me a pussy, I don't care. I'm doing it because I would never, ever survive. Because I was talking about this the other day.
Not
when you're in prison,
drug smuggler.
There's
you're
that too.
approaching going to prison with the mind of an innocent man.
Right.
Like,
imagine this. I had this talk with somebody the other day. In prison, the blacks got to stick with the blacks, the Mexicans got to stick with the Mexicans, the whites got to stick with the whites. Could you imagine me being a Jewish guy having no choice but to join the white supremacist group in order to survive as a Jewish man? And they tattoo a swastika on me because like that shows my loyalty to my prison gang.
I have no comment. I just see the prison.
That just got super dark. I don't know if I should tell you to edit that out or not, because in a way it's fucking funny.
I just
but in a way it's
let me get my
point.
I just in my mind I just see the prison warden going, that guy's good with numbers. Bring him over here. And he goes, you good with numbers? And you're like 222. And he's like, you're gonna be my bookkeeper. And I don't know why the prison warden has that accent, but
because we become Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
My favorite Morgan Freeman scene. You know which one? When Tim Robbins is telling Morgan Freeman in the library about the scam that's going on in the prison, and Morgan Freeman just goes,
mm-hmm.
But not like that, Betty. It's got to be more exaggerated.
Yeah,
do it more exaggerated. Come on, do it more exaggerated for me.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, more exaggerated. You went. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. Come on,
give me a Morgan Freeman. There you go. All right, Harris. Good.
Love that movie, dude.
Yeah, it is my favorite movie of all time.
I don't want to say it's my favorite movie because, like, I prefer different genres of movie.
Of that genre of drama.
It's right up.
Well, I don't know. It's up there with Rocky 1 and 2.
Yeah, hometown hero's not even a real guy.
Shut the hell up. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. Don't be that guy.
Hey, guess what else? We're talking about drummers today. This is our drummer episode. Did you hear Peter Criss is putting a new album out?
Do you think anybody cares? It's funny that you talk about Peter Criss, because I was actually reading, there's this book that I leave in my bathroom, so when I'm on the shitter, I read it a lot. It's called Kiss and Sell, and it's written by the accountant that traveled with Kiss during
you mentioned that book a lot.
So today I was reading it, and it was the part where They mutually, we know the real story, but they mutually parted ways 1980. Well, 79.
This is the original quit.
Yeah. He couldn't play anymore.
God, dude. God, I'll tell you one thing. I won't call it a pet peeve. It's just, it really, really annoys me whenever I see somebody in the position to have a lifelong career and they just piss it away.
It's called ego.
And now, like, I've thought about this because I'm thinking, I looked up his net worth. I was just curious.
He's only worth $5 million. I looked it up recently.
I saw $1 million. So regardless, it's not Kiss money, what he's worth. And it's like, dude.
What happened to all the money from the reunion tour?
Right. They were pulling that in a night. Granted, not personally, but
I've got to look this up myself now because now this is.
While you're looking that up, I'll tell you my frustration. I can rationalize not liking the music and just simply not wanting to do it anymore. And I'm set for life. And hey, guys, good luck. Let's be friends. I don't want to do this anymore. But that's not what happened.
He's got a net worth of $5 million. Still, with that being said, he made more than $5 million just on that fucking tour. You know, the reunion tour. And that was the first one. What about the tour in 98? What about the tour in 99? What about the farewell tour in 2000?
Yeah. He was in the band till 2004.
What happened to all that money?
So 95 to 2004, you got almost 10-year run.
So, okay, let's play glass half full here.
Okay.
Before the reunion tour.
Call him flat broke.
Flat broke.
Okay. So then you go on tour for 10 years.
No, hold on a second.
Making Kiss money.
Harris, shh. 1 second. Now, he's worth $5 million. And how old they said?
79.
He's 79. At 79 years old, he's got $5 million. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Right. Look, man. The only thing I can rationalize behavior like that in that situation is just, I hate the music and these people are not nice to me. I could see them not being nice to him, but like, I think it's because he was difficult.
No, what I read this morning, and this is what Paul Stanley said. They go, we'll put up with Peter's bullshit all day, every day if he's a great drummer. He's not a great drummer anymore. And that's what they said. And the reality of it was this. It all happened because of a show that happened in Shreveport, Louisiana, where he got mad at those guys. He got mad at those guys on stage, and he started dragging purposely the tempos down. Purposely. In the middle of the song, it would start here, and he would drag them all the way down. And he was doing that shit to fuck with those guys. So they tried to let the dust settle. And when they let the dust settle, they were like, we got to try them out again. Now, this next section I heard from In Bloom. If you ever listen to those things on YouTube, they were talking to Paul Stanley. Yeah, it's like this rock and roll In Bloom thing. It's like all these really cool rock and roll stories. And Paul, they were talking, he was reading an excerpt out of Paul Stanley's book, which you probably read because you let me read your copy of it. Yeah. And they were talking about how Peter, they had him come in to try out again, and Peter went and got like drum lessons. And when he showed up to jam,
what year is this referring to?
The year, the 79, 80, whenever he got kicked out in that time period. And they had him come in to jam with the band, and he brought in a music stand and charts for all the Kiss songs. And they were like, this guy's fucking lost it.
Like how?
He lost it.
Yeah, like how is that even? I can't.
And then when they got they had to cancel a European tour that was booked because they got rid of Peter. And they were in the negotiations with Phonogram, who was the European label. And they managed to still negotiate a deal, even though Peter left. But part of that deal was to give Peter a deal to record a solo record. And that was the album that he recorded that came out.
Or whatever.
I think it came out in 80 or 81.
Yeah.
Right around like when those guys released the first album without him. Did that really bum you out?
No. I'm just thinking, like how, like in what world are you not just a professional musician, but take late 70s Kiss. They were the biggest band on the planet. Okay. And in what world do you just forget your instrument? The thing that got you there. How do you forget that?
It's called drugs and alcohol, man. It's a rock and roll cliche. It's like, some drums are a different instrument than guitar. You know what I mean? You get too fucked up.
So it's a physical. You're saying it's a physical thing. Like he was physically not able to.
He was physically not able to play the fucking shit by the end. I think. Yeah. I mean, his drumming was a problem. Like, I mean, Paul Stanley said it best. We would put up with Peter's shit till any day.
Yeah.
When he's a great drummer. He's not a great drummer no more. Don't want to put up with it.
I saw them.
And you know what? When they did the reunion tour, if you go back and watch The Second Coming, great documentary if people out there haven't seen it, Kiss, The Second Coming. It's about the reunion tour in 96.
Yeah, he started off good.
They started off really good, but Peter couldn't play. And after that, dude, I saw Peter, I told you this. So they had that reunion, the original reunion on the Kiss Unplugged on Halloween in 1995 or something. And Peter and Ace came out and joined them. That aired on Halloween that year. The very next day, on November 1st in Allentown, Pennsylvania, Huey and I went to Crocodile Rock and saw the Ace Frehley band playing with the Peter Criss band. And I remember watching Peter Criss that night going, this guy can't play drums no more. That was 95.
I think it was, I've seen him a bunch. I think it was around 2000, 2002.
Dude, in the shows you've seen him, they can hike the fucking drums up so it sounds like he's hitting hard. And
that's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at because the sound was great. And then the times that Peter would come up on the screen and stuff, he's just like, he's like, in Spinal Tap, where he's like, oh, great drummer, great drum. They show him, and he's just like, like hardly hitting it. It's like hardly hitting it, and you hear like, well,
it's probably triggered. It was probably triggered out the ass.
Triggered. Because I was with Jason, and he's like, dude, those drums are so triggered.
Yeah, I mean, like, the guy couldn't play in 95. So back to the documentary, if you go back and watch The Second Coming, it's sort of like, yeah, he could play the songs, but he ain't Eric Singer. Eric Singer, by far, was the best drummer for Kiss. Eric Carr was cool. Eric Carr was cool.
Let's have the convo. Compare Eric Carr and Eric Singer. You're a drummer. Because I think they're both rad. You're not going to give me a wrong answer.
I just think that Eric Singer had more fluidity. You know what I mean?
More what?
Just fluidity. Eric Singer was great. It was Eric Singer. God rest his soul, you know? Eric Carr. Eric Singer just, I don't know, man. I just like the way he hit the drums. He played solid. He just.
You know what I like about Eric Carr? I'll tell you. And again, like I said, you couldn't have given me a wrong answer there. I think they're both rad. But whenever they get Eric Carr, they were on a down slope or whatever, and they get this new drummer.
I hope you're about to say what I'm thinking.
All of a sudden, you listen to them live in the early 80s, and it's like, they got good.
Well, you know what I like about the Eric Carr story is he was a nobody. He was like an electrician or something. And he just went to a cattle call audition and made the band. And like went from being a nobody to being in Kiss.
In my Peter Criss research, I got the vibe that those two were friends, though. Like,
Peter Criss and Eric Carr.
Eric Carr, yeah.
I think Peter Criss and Eric Singer are too.
I mean, I'm sure that it's probably all good. Did
I ever tell you about?
They're riding the drama for all that it's worth. But yeah, it sounded like because the question in the interview to Peter Criss was, when was the first time that you saw Kiss with Eric Carr? He said, I saw the first show.
Really?
He's like, it was great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where was the first? Oh, you know what? The first show was in New York. You know why I know that? Because
I was there.
No. I just read it this morning. The European tour was going to lose so much money that they were doing all these rehearsals, and management went to them and said, hey, listen, will you guys play one of your rehearsals at home in New York so we can offset some of the cost? So that's probably where Peter Criss saw them. I'd like to find that information out. We should Google that.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you what I read.
What was it I was just about to say that had to do with this? That was really cool, actually. Eric Carr's real name's Paul. I just read that.
Eric Carr's real name's Paul?
Yeah.
So we got Paul Stanley, Paul Fraley, Paul... What's
different last name. There's something Italian.
Well, Carr is short for like Caro.
Carino or something like that.
I remember the first time like getting into Kiss and looking up their names and everything, and I was like, Chris.
Yeah.
Pete Chris. What kind of a last
Chris
name
Cola.
is Chris?
Chris
Cola. Yeah, they just shorten it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any kind of thought or logic to change your name? Like have a stage name?
I had a stage name.
Oh, please tell me.
Oh, it's amazing.
Okay, Johnny used stage name.
Okay.
Let me guess it.
All right. Well, okay. let me give you a little. I'll let you guess it.
5 clues.
Okay. It includes my name before I went by Johnny.
Okay.
My original last name before my family came to America.
Okay. I'm following you. I'm a good friend.
And there's a name backwards. That's the only ones I could give you. I don't know.
Can you tell me, was it like, was it a first and a last name? Was it first, middle, last?
It was a first and last name.
So first name, last name.
Yeah.
You are going to be.
This is great.
It has a name backwards. That's the part tripping me up.
I'll give you another clue. The first name is backwards. The last name is my original name from my family before they moved to America.
Uditsky.
Bam.
I'm the best friend alive.
How cool of a stage name is that, though? Uditsky.
It's very ethnic.
Yeah.
It's very ethnic. It's
Very
like
Jewish.
people change their names to take
get
the
away.
ethnicity out of it, and you're like, no, I'm going full in.
I'm going deep.
You're like
Look at
John.
this nose.
You're
Look
like,
at that
you're like
thing.
John Uditsky. How can I make it even more? John Naj Uditsky. Did you have one of those umlauts over the O?
No, but that's great. And I also like how you added a zh to it, like it's French. Naj.
It's like the J going into the U of your last name is all the same thing. Naj Uditsky.
Nah, it's one word.
You always hear it passing by you. Naj Uditsky.
Naj Uditsky. That's awesome.
Man.
It's a great name, dude.
It's fine.
Dude, it was when I was in Nothing Whatever Buddy, which is kind of how we came up with the name of the podcast.
Is that your band?
Yeah, NWB, brother. Nothing Whatever Buddy.
NWB.
Nothing Whatever Buddy.
Naj with buddies.
Naj with buddies. Naj Uditsky, man. That was my stage name. Did you have one?
No, I didn't. I always
You
was
guys
against
weren't all Monroe, like Ryan Monroe. I can't remember.
That'd been funny.
I can't think of any other guys in the name of your bands.
Matt, Frankie, Jason, Dave, Ryan Monroe.
Jason Monroe, Frankie Monroe would be the coolest of them all. That's got a good ring. You should tell Frankie he should change his stage name to Frankie Monroe.
If we get back together, if we ever do a reunion show, we'll all change our last names to Monroe. So, question for you, Naj.
Yeah, buddy. Nice segue.
No, because that was your Nothing Whatever Buddy name, and then that band.
I never used it. I never used the name.
That was my inquiry. Is like, at what point did you use it, and when did you decide to go back?
Never used it. I just thought of it. Thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Thought it was funny.
On that note,
another episode down. Good chat.
buddy.
Good chat.
I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, I never see you. We live in the same city, less than 5 miles apart.
Hey, come visit me, buddy. I live in a nice neighborhood, and we can go for a walk.
It's all about working around Harris's schedule. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in another episode 119. That means we're coming up on a 2 on the next episode. We will see you in 2 weeks. That's another 2. I like the number 2 if we haven't figured that one out yet. Please like, subscribe, and report. Leave a comment, ring the bell, do whatever the things you're supposed to do. And we'll see you next week or next 2 weeks, whenever. Later.